film crew and an audio guy, and I got all this stuff going on. So I'm gonna start doing one that's more virtual. I'm still going to do the in-person ones, but I think I'm going to supplement probably about 60% of them being virtual, so I can have more consistent conversations with people and just kind of expand out the amount of data that I'm pulling in. But if I do it, it's going to be probably through Riverside. They just have like the best recording software for it, and they can like kind of split all the images, and you can get like real 4K. And I don't know,
it bounces back and forth when someone's talking, and that is nice when you feel like you're in the same room, and if you're not, so
exactly. I mean, you can do that with editing though. Like you get an editor, they can splice the videos and slap them together and all that stuff.
Yeah, my marketing team will do something with it. I'm sure they'll make it look a lot better than what I got going on here, but it's all right.
I love it, man.
But if you don't start, you don't start. There's always one, and then there's two. And if you don't ever get one down, then you're never gonna get two down. So I think we all know that as entrepreneurs in the cases that we are. So
exactly. No, exactly, man.
You're definitely recording your side, right? And then
Yep.
I think I'm recording mine. I just, like I said, I don't want to. I've done these things where people are like the next day they're like, oh, by the way, we didn't get that. You're like, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
are you recording it on Zoom?
Yeah. So
you should just say recording on yours. It says recording on mine, so you're definitely recording it, and I'm recording it through Cornelius. That's my AI note taker. It's Fathom. It'll just record it, and then I can chop it up from there. Pretty simple, pretty easy.
Well, maybe you'll do a better job chopping it up than me. So if you want to take it and run with it, that's awesome. Either way,
I love it, man. I'll make sure I share the link with.
Yeah, I'll let you
so you have the Fathom link. Everybody.
So
I love it, man.
Yeah,
how's life been going, dude? Otherwise,
dude, it's been. I'll tell you what, man. I honestly thought when I pressed yes to the Kevin Harrington book that I was going to be writing a book with Kevin. Then that changed to okay, it's just a chapter. But then the chapter, that chapter turned into the book I wanted to write, the intro, A Tale of Two Realtors, which turned into 15 chapters in part one, and now part two is coming out, which is another 15 chapters. So, but I tell you, it's been the hardest goddamn thing I've ever done in my life, man. It's I mean, and it's funny. You think with real estate, I thought, I'd have to pull from stories from 15, 20 years ago. As I was writing the book, it gave me more and more things just to add. Like the chaos of real estate is just a daily. It's a roller coaster ride. So I didn't even have to pull from old stories for the most part. I just this just happened. Okay, here's a reference point here to what I'm talking about, because it's just such a wild business, and so is your business is wild as well. So
for sure, yeah, constantly changing and revolving. But the difference between my business and your business is there's like this. Whether it's true or not, I hear two kinds of realtors. I hear the ones that are like, oh, the market's terrible, so I'm not doing anything, and it's really tough. And then I hear other realtors like, dude, market's terrible, but it's great. And I'm like, okay, because that's like in my business, everything can be terrible, but it's great for us. Like we benefit as brokers when things happen, because it's like, okay, great, this company's no good. Well, this company is. And I know it's different with you because housing markets and interest rates and stuff like that. But then from what I understand from better realtors is it's just a matter of shifting or pivoting over to something else that may have more favorable rates, whether it's buyers or sellers or commercial or industrial or residential or whatever. It's like important to have those like abilities to pivot and kind of get outside of that that mindset of it's 100% my progress and my productivity is 100% a part of my environment, right? And that's the tough place to be in.
Well, that's the funny part. That's why I teach hyper-local real estate, because when you dominate your market, you control your market. You know what I mean? So you're not running after every opportunity. You are the opportunity. So,
right.
And not a lot of people get that. Most people, they get a little taste of this, they start running all over the place, and it's it's tempting to try to do everything. But what I heard a great saying: you can be anything, you can't do everything. So you realize that's pretty powerful to stop taking those temptations and those distractions in your practice, not your business. A lot of people call it a business. It's got to be once you start having a practice, that's different. Then you start ruling out things that are bad for your practice, because everything's good for your business, right? A phone call is good for your business, but a phone call is 50 miles away at a mayor you don't know well, that's bad for your practice, because that's going to take you off your game and out of what you're doing. So and that little commission check over there is going to cost you so much over here.
Absolutely. And I can completely relate to that because even in my business, that happens a lot because the vertical of insurance is pretty wide, right? Like my license is a 215, which means I do life, I do annuities, and I do health insurance. And it's like I've been doing it 22 years. I know you've been doing what you've done for a long time, so you know how it goes. Like you can't help, especially if you're progressing all the time, you can't help but learn and understand the other products that are in your vertical, right? And it's so easily to become distracted because you'd be like, oh, this is a great product, I'm going to market it, right? And all of a sudden you're marketing to people that you would never market to because the product is great. And you're like, well, I could save people money and help them so much with this product, but it's not my niche. It's not my exact thing that I do. It's not what I'm making the majority of my money from, but I can definitely make some money here. And my brain will do that, right? Like the ADD plays against me with that when I'm like, well, you know, IULs and IBCs and group insurance and group life and individual insurance and Medicare and ACA and like all these association plans, like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, man, so last year or last 2 years, like 2023 and 2024, I was selling everything, right? And just stressed out because I'm like, I'm constantly bouncing around. And it's, you know, it's tough when you're dealing with, like if I'm dealing with a senior on Medicare and then my next appointment is a small business owner.
Or newlyweds.
Boop, 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 boop. It's a change of like who you have to be in that realm, right? And I'm like, this is too crazy. So I ended up niching down a lot this year and just being like, you know, my biggest book of business for insurance is in the Medicare space because that's kind of where I started. And I was like, that's really where it's effortless for me to kind of go through a process with Medicare. It's like effortless, very simple, very easy. And it's like, well, how many people are turning 65 and how many people are retiring and how many people are confused about Medicare? A lot, right? So it's like, there's not like a shortage of clients here, right? Like everybody has the intention of making it to 65 and they eventually will get there. Right. So we've got like the next 10 years of baby boomer, some 10 to 19,000 people turning 65 every single day in this country, right? So it's like a huge amount of numbers. And I live in Florida, which is like the mecca for old people, right? People turning 65, retirement. So I'm like, this is perfect.
That should be called the Golden State, actually.
It really should be. It really should be. It's like mass exodus out of California coming to Florida, right? Sunshine State, close enough. But yeah, so I kind of saw that and I said, okay, if I niche down here, does it open up other opportunities for other insurance? And of course it does. And I really like a turning 65, a person that's turning 65, they're brand new to Medicare. This way, a lot of times they have a 401k that they have to roll over into an annuity, and I handle that stuff. And it's all inclusive for the one avatar I'm going after, the one marketing that I'm going after, and then all those other things I can help them with. And then on the other side, it's small businesses. But with small businesses, I don't market that because it's just it's a weird thing to market. I do that through friends groups. I do that through networking groups where I meet someone and they're a small business owner and I'm like, what are you doing with your benefits? And they tell me, and I'm like, listen, I can help you a lot with that. I can change all of that for you. Send me over a census and I'll run some quotes for you and I'll be able to help you out. No problem. So it's like really effortless for me to do that. Obamacare, ACA marketplace. Nope. I just turn it down. I just say, not interested, man. I'll send you to someone else who specializes in that, but I hate it. I don't like doing it at all, man. It's just bad.
To me, that's like commercial real estate. Everyone sees it like, oh my God, commercial real estate. There's so much money in it. But you know what? There's no love in commercial real estate. There's love in residential real estate. So right now I have a deal, $1 million deal, right? Okay, but you know, the people, there's 4 people involved. I don't know what happened. Bad credit, this one. Who knows? Maybe they got into a fight yesterday. Who knows? But the point is, there's no love. And if the money don't work, then the deal don't work. And I don't know. I don't want to talk bad on it, but it looks like the deal might not work. You know what I mean? And that's a lot different than someone who fell in love with the house. The person who lived there 40 years, met them, loved them. Okay, cool. Now if there's a $10,000 issue, we can work it out. Because most people they want to sell, you want to buy, you love the place, they love the place, and we can make that work. But you know, you can't make an ROI turn into a closing sometimes if it doesn't
Sure.
So, but that's all. But like you're saying, I mean, you were just rattling off those areas of insurance, because I was like, actually, I like life insurance license too for a while, but it's the same thing with real estate, commercial, 55 plus, waterfront. Like you could I literally created under Mr. Area Codes 150 different brands because there's that many different things. Location. Like, I mean, I literally, if you go, it's crazy how many brands that you could focus on, and then is the hub, and then of course. When you start doing waterfront properties, you're going to get the grandmother guy, and you're going to list that house because that's a spoke on the wheel. You know, focusing on all the spokes, you're going to go crazy. You need to have the hub, which is the focus and the niche, and then of course you're gonna get the business. It's gonna come with it, but you have to be in the business long enough to realize that too.
Exactly.
And new agents and new producers, it's like drinking from a water hose. They're like, let me take it all, and then you want to drowning, or you want to die a thirst because you can't get it's too powerful. And there's too much opportunity.
Yeah, that's right, and I totally agree, because I see some guys that are like, they're selling mobile homes, they're selling condos, they're selling $1 million homes, they're selling 55 plus, they're selling Section 8 and HUD stuff, and I'm like, I don't understand what it is that you do, though. Who would I refer to you? Like, who is your ideal referral? And they're like, well, anybody looking for a house? And I'm like,
that's it. Hey, I'm too busy for your referrals, but you're too distracted for the right referral, though,
Right. It's like, niche that down, man, and be like, I'm looking for healthy and wealthy. Like, for me, healthy and wealthy, turning 65, or a small business owner with 10 or more employees. That's my specific look. Anything that falls in between there, yeah, you can send it to me. If it's like random, that's fine. But this is specifically what I'm looking for. And if you meet somebody that doesn't fit those parameters, I'm happy to have a conversation with them or turn them over to one of my brokers that can help them, because I have other brokers that work for me that handle some things that I would never deal with. Where I'm like, yeah, you handle this. I don't want anything to do with it. I get my little override. They earn business off of a referral that comes from me. It all works out great, right? But it's not like you would sell Section 8 living and then sell mansions. How do you market that? If someone's like, well, tell me about the last 10 houses you sold, and they're like, well, it was all in the hood. It was all Section 8 houses for under 100K. And they're going to be like, well, why would I give you the chance to sell a $3-4 million property then? Like, you got to niche down, right?
Compton to castles. That's your tagline. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, Compton to castle, right?
Does not work,
And even in that, right? Even like if it is luxury real estate, where is it lakefront? Is it oceanfront? Like, what are you specifically dealing with? And I know that you really micronize where you're working by zip code, right? So you're really becoming that local hero. So then it's like, well, I only sell homes in XYZ neighborhood. That's my niche. And then I sprawl out from there, because then I try to find other neighborhoods that are the same as that neighborhood. Because I guess it depends on where you live, but most places there's not just one luxury neighborhood. There's multiple ones, right? But probably what you're doing is you get real famous in one, and then you're able to use that as a catalyst or leverage to get into other ones and then grow a reputation that way.
Or partner with the person who is that person there. And then why even get in the woods? You're splitting it, and now you're gaining a relationship, you're building relationship capital, and you're not taking yourself out of focus of what you should be doing, So it's powerful, but it's actually practicing it and keeping to it's the hard part. But it's like anything, waking up every day and doing your routine's hard if you don't focus on it. So, I've read your chapter. Obviously, I don't know it was hard. I started to read them all, and I was like, I don't know, I got a little distracted, like anything. But so I was actually curious. I know you. I think you grew up in Europe, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
So a part of, on Zip It, a big thing is the zip code. So I like to talk about like where your zip code was, your postal codes, and like the different ones that have influenced your life. So where were you born?
I was born in Connecticut, in Danbury, Connecticut. And we moved when me and my brother were young. We moved back overseas. I'm first generation American. So my brother is Portuguese. He was born in Portugal. My mom's Portuguese. My dad's Swedish. And I was the first one born in the United States of America. We were born in Connecticut, lived there for a few years, and then moved back over to Europe. And then we moved to Florida, and then moved back to Europe. And then we moved to Texas, and then back to Europe. And then I ended up staying in Europe until I graduated high school. And then I came back to the States.
Oh, wow. So you're actually, no kidding. That's crazy. Well, you said you bounced around a lot. So I was like, it's almost like the army brat mentality.
Really, and it was because my dad was he was in the chemical shipping business, so he built tankers. So we were moving from port city to port city as the jobs and the projects would change. He was always the same company, but different projects, different jobs. He changed company twice, but two of the times I was in the military, so it didn't really affect me then. I was already I was a Marine, so I was already serving, so I wouldn't live in at home or anything, so it didn't really affect me. But it's funny that you bring it up, because my parents had the worst luck ever in real estate. They always built brand new homes, but whenever my dad had to move and we had to like flash sale houses, it was always at the worst times, right? So, and my dad was really smart with what he did. So, like if you look at when we lived in Panama City Beach, Florida, we lived in an area called Bay Point, and that's like a real beautiful area, right on the water, huge houses. And we were the first house to build on a brand new golf course that they had. So we were like the only house in the entire golf course neighborhood, the only one. It's called Dragon's Ridge. Now it's packed, right? Like now I drive by there sometimes and I'm like, that's a house I used to grow up in. And it's like, it's so cool because it's like, that's what you hope is like. And so I'm always got this mentality of new build. Same thing in Texas. When we lived in Texas, we lived in an area called Kingwood, Texas, which is like huge new build, like mega communities. Like we always lived in those mega communities, you know? So it's funny. Now I live in one, right? Like I built a house in one called Bexley here in Florida. And it's funny because I look at that. I mean, I did really good though, because I sold my other house for like in the height. And then I bought mine when prices were dirt cheap. And I think my loan is like 2.25. So it's like the rates were good. The homes were good. It was right before the shortage. Like the end of our home was right when the shortage started happening. So we didn't have like a refrigerator for like 9 months. I remember having a mini fridge for like 9 months because it was like no supplies, but at least all our house got built, right? You know what I mean? So now I'm looking to build another. Now I'm looking to build another one. So it's kind of weird.
People that do move around a lot, the new complex are perfect because you can time it. Okay, this is phase 1, phase 2. You know, you're not thinking like, well, I'm going to be here for 30 years. So you really just need a house that, sort of like, you know what I mean? When you know you're going to be out in 2-3 years. So it's really a different kind of mindset than someone's like, I'm going to raise my kids here. I'm going to be here for 35 years. If you got a 1 to 2 year plan rather than a 10 to 20 year plan is a totally different mindset. That's why those communities are great and I notice that a lot of people that are, relocation, that's usually where they wind up because it's hard to find, a one-off house and that works for you, especially I want a 4-bedroom Central Colonial, boom, where do you go? The place they're building 500 of them,
Right.
And you just got that color, I don't like that color, add that color, boom, boom, boom. So yeah.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly. Man. And I never viewed like the home as like what you're saying, like a long-term thing. Like I'm going to stay in here for the rest of my life. I'm going to raise my family for the rest of my life. What if the family expands and I get bored with this house and I want more stuff? Like, so I always knew that when we got into this house, I was like, I'm going to use this house as a piggy bank to get to my next house. Right. Yeah. So build up the equity, then borrow against it, build the next one, and then rent the one that I'm living in out. Right. And then go homestead the next one. And then just constantly just do that until you have multiple properties and then you're good, right? Because you're just using one to fund the other with HELOC. So I'm a big proponent of trying to do that kind of a thing. Because right now I want to buy land, clear land, and then build the house that we really want, right? And just build that house and have the house that we have right now fund the majority of that, and then rent that house out after we drain the equity out, and then rent that house out and pay the rent with it and just be done with it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's funny. I literally live in the house I grew up in. I did an A level when I was my mother. My father passed away. So like it's so funny. You literally look at houses as a vehicle. You know what I mean? Yeah. For actually upgrading and stuff like that. Whereas I look at it as the sentimental to me. When I sell it, I'm like on the sentimental end where I'm very good with people that are selling 40 years family house. They've been in 40 years because I get that sentimentality. But it's funny because they say cars are a worse investment, but a real estate is a vehicle if you think about it the right way, and that's the best investment. So it is it's great that you have that mindset because that's where I'm guilty and bad at that because I'm sentimental to it. I'm attached, So yeah, it's also a great investment too because then you can build what you want and keep what you want and and play with the equity that way too. So it's but it's a great mindset that you have. That's awesome. So
try, man. It's tough, brother. Time goes by so quick, and it's like just trying to find property in Florida right now is just insane. So I have a realtor that's helping me look for not off market land. Yeah. It's everything is so jacked up expensive right now in Florida to buy anything because everybody knows if you have land, eventually it's going to be a development because everybody's moving to Florida and they're just developing. And I don't even care to go like I live in Land O'Lakes. I got to go I'm already in the country, but I got to go into the country. And I don't mind though, because I'm virtual for the most part, right? I do very few face-to-face these days. Most of my stuff is virtual. I do 2 in-person seminars, workshops per month or per week. Outside of that, man, I'm working in an office. I'm doing Zoom. I'm doing virtual. I'm doing webinars. I'm I'm working on the phone. So for me, I'm I don't give a shit where I live. I don't care if I'm 100 miles away from a major city. It makes no difference.
It's going to make a difference if you get the house you want and you got the acreage you want and all that
exactly stuff. That's the thing, is I want the acreage, right? When you're in these new build communities, they don't give you any land. Like it's not a lot of land. You're on like a quarter of an acre, and that's like,
you can open your window and hand over a thing of milk to your neighbor.
Not that close, but yeah. I mean, essentially, yes. Some of them are really close. We picked ours on the curve of the road. So they had to have like the wider separation. So we like by proxy got a bigger lot. And I was like, that's specifically why we picked that lot. But I mean, it was inventory home. They were like, it's going to be this color, blah, blah, blah. It just happened to check all the boxes we want. It was the craftsman style. It had the color that we wanted and all the upgrades that we wanted. So I was like, this is meant to be. It was on that corner lot, like that curved part of the lot. Right. So the bigger back end and stuff. And I was like, well, we got really lucky with this one for sure, man. And it's a very desirable neighborhood we live in. I don't know why. Everybody wants to live in Bexley. It's wild. Houses go up and they sell immediately. But like I told my wife, I was like, I don't want to sell this house. I'd rather just buy another one 30, 40 minutes north and then just rent this one out and have that pay for this house. And then eventually we can sell this house if we want to, or we just keep renting it and eventually it'll become profit. But why wouldn't we, And
when you got a great house, you can't rebuy your house usually. It's very often that you can never rebuy your house once you sell it. So, it's like a used car, I mean, they're one-off sort of if it's anything that didn't roll off the lot, or out of the assembly.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
But I know you were saying, you say in the chapter that, your morning rituals and your habits, man, it's so important. And like I said, it's so hard to stick with them. So what are some of the stuff that you do? I always say, like, everyone gets so caught up in like they need to do like everything right away. But I always say it's like daily habits, not deadly habits. Like just make daily adjustments. They're not deadly. You don't have to get, So what are some of the daily stuff that you do? Like what's your morning routine and like what do you like? What makes you tick and what makes you get on the trajectory for the right kind of day?
Yeah, so I start my day every morning with priming, right? So it's this like breath work exercise I do like, it's like Tony Robbins priming. So it's like 10 breaths like this, wait a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So it's 30 breaths where you're like through the nose and out through the nose, really hard pressed down. So it's really like that, you know what I mean? I do 30 of those, I take a break, 30 of those, take a break, 30 of those, take a break. And then I go into my mind and I think about all the things that I'm grateful for. I typically start out with something that's really simple, that's overlooked. Like one of my favorite ones is the sensation of a cool breeze and the sun hitting your face. Like there's just something about that where you stand outside, it's great weather, the sun's on you and the breeze hits you and I can close my eyes and I can feel it, smell it, taste it. And, I can really be in that moment and be so thankful for that. And that kind of primes my mind to be thankful for my wife, thankful for my kids, thankful for my business, thankful for my mission, thankful for God. And I kind of put all of that into that thankfulness. And then I do another breathing exercise where I'm kind of like breathing through my head and my heart. And, I do some breathing. They call it like a 1-4-2 count. So it's like 4 seconds in, 16-second hold, 8 seconds out. I'll do that for about like 5 minutes. Like the priming takes me 5 to 10 minutes to do. Once I'm done with that, man, I hit up some lemon water. I go to the gym. I work out. I get home. In between that, of course, I'm reading scripture. So I typically read my scripture in the morning as well. I usually do that right before priming. That's the first thing I do when I wake up is pray. Then I read scripture. Then I do the priming. Then I do the lemon water. Then I go to the gym. And it's literally every day, but Sunday is probably the one day that I do the priming, but I don't go to the gym on Sunday. And I'm not waking up as early because I'm waking up about 4:20 every morning. So, yeah, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Your point, man. We had a pretty cold winter here, and the other day it was just so sunny out. I walked out, and the sun just hit me in the face. I just literally was like it's so like that. It's so important to be out there and ground and all the important stuff. Get in touch with the world. It's like there's a reason. Like people around here in New Jersey and everywhere I go through seasonal depression. It's a real thing, man. Because summer I'm out. That's why I always talk about the backyard. Like I'm a backyard guy. I have a badass backyard, and that's why those cul-de-sac neighborhoods. I would pick the one with the big curve too, because I want my privacy back there. But because you go out there and you get in the sun, you get in the grass, you're walking around, and you're like one with the earth, and it's just so different. And when you have that, when I kept my pool open until December 15th this year, man, my neighbors saying because I'm a cold plunge guy. I'm a plunge guy too. I do the breath work, but you're much better. I mean, I try to get consistent, but it's hard, you know, as you try to do them all, but I try to do that while I'm in the cold shower.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, when that sun hit me in the face, I'm like, this is like, that's that moment where you're like, this is a great time to be alive.
Yeah.
Focus on that and, you know, kind of get in that mindset every day. And it's hard, you know, I fight with it every day. I've never been a morning routine guy, but I'm trying to be ritualistic as much as possible.
Sure.
I know how important it is. And when I do it, how much I stay in my frequency, you know, like I can stay on that all day and the little things don't take me off my path, you know, whereas if you don't, you find yourself, you know, getting scattered and just find anything to be pissed off about. And, you know, I try to, with the gratitude, I try to practice the things I'm grateful for that are bad first. Like, you know what I mean? Like thankful for the bad. I call it, you can't be grateful if you're not grateful for the bad stuff. So I say that's just gratitude.
Exactly.
If you're just thankful for the good stuff, that's gratitude. You got to be thankful for it.
It's so true though, man, because most people, they thank God when things are good, but they don't thank God when things are bad. And it's kind of, I'm a proponent of being like, hey, you got to thank God for good and bad all the time because they're all blessings. And it's your point of view that changes, but why should it change, right? Like you should be grateful for everything that happens in your life, good or bad, because God is doing it for you, right? It's a lesson for you to get to where you need to be or to maybe avoid something that could be extremely dangerous for you and your life and your family and stuff like that. And doing that ritualistic kind of breathing breath work and something simple like the smell of fresh cut grass or, you know, that smell that you get on pavement right before it rains. It's like those little things. So when you lock into being so appreciative in the beauty of that and you feel this energy from the breath work and that memory and that little idea, the next time you walk outside and you're feeling bummed out, all you got to do is let the sun hit your face, man. And it takes you back because that ritual of you doing it every morning and being appreciative for the small thing, you know, trees clacking together in the wind, the smell of fresh cut grass, like those little things can get your mood and your mindset, boom, elevated quick and get a release of dopamine where everybody else, I mean, they got to listen to a tape and they got to like, you know, do a bunch of shit. And all you can do is just feel something natural and have it, boom, right there, get locked back in with nature and the earth and with God and really understand like, hey, I'm blessed, man. Like I better slap a smile on my face and act like it, right? Because I'm a steward of blessings. I just share this with everybody. So that's like kind of why I do the rituals because like your business, my business is very similar. It's hectic. Yeah. It's hectic and it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of consistency and frequency, right? Like you have to consistently turn it up every single day. There are, like I always tell people, there's no days off in my business. There's not a day that I go somewhere and I'm like, you know what, today I'm not going to tell people that I'm in insurance. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's every day, every opportunity, no matter where I'm at. And I do it because I believe in that. That's like, it's not just my employment. It's a big part of my mission and my impact. So it's like, I implore doing that. And those morning rituals help me lock in that motivation to continue to do what I do every day. Otherwise, I don't have the energy.
Well, to bring in Tony for a bunch of reasons, I know you're a big fan, but he says, who's missing out because you're not showing up, right?
Yeah.
Right? Who's missing out because you're not showing up? And it's true. I mean, I hate when I see someone, you know, list a house with somebody out of the area and they have horrible pictures and it's priced wrong. And you're just like, what are they doing, man? Do they even know what they're missing out on because they didn't know to call me and I didn't show up there for them because, you know, and how is that going to go through the negotiation? I don't want to know, but you know, it's wild. But to talk to Tony about Tony too, one of my favorite things he said, man, when he's talking about gratitude, he's like talking about the woman, like, I don't know, I don't think God likes me. He's like, well, let me see. What did you do? You woke up today, you bitched about this beautiful planet that he gave you. You bitched about the beautiful breath that he gave you. Like, you know what I mean? And you're wondering why he doesn't want to hang out with you?
Right, exactly.
So true, man. Like you're pushing him away more than you could ever, you know, by just not being thankful for him. I mean, look, I always say I'm stressed, but I'm blessed, you know, and I actually changed that because in my next book, the last chapter is called God steering versus God fearing, and I talk about I'm not stressed. He's just stretching me for what's next.
Yeah. Yep.
Stress is like your bills, I don't know, traffic, but like stretch is like, oh shit, dude, I don't know, I've never done this, I didn't get the Zoom on, like, and I got to do that last night, and just everything, like, where you're like, that's not stress, that's stretch, because the next time I do this, the next 20 that we do, I'll be like, oh, it was great, and I was pissed, I didn't know how to do it, or whatever it is, and but yeah, so I changed that word to stretch. So when I'm when I'm stressed over something that's not really stress and it's stretched, I'm just saying, you're being stretched, Charlie. It's cool, man. Like, you're being stretched for what's next, and it's okay, So
yeah, I love that, Charlie, because I just got done doing a 4-day UPW event with Tony Robbins, and it was so interesting how he explained stress. He's like, stress is fear, and that's all it is, right? Like, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're like, oh, I'm stressed out about money. Well, no, you fear not making money. And when you have that fear, you're stressed, because if you have faith, you can't have fear. And if you truly believe that you're going to get it, you're not going to fear it. Therefore, you're not going to be stressed over it. And that kind of stuff just like reminds me, like, and it's weird because words have power. And when I even said it just right now, we have a very stressful thing, but it's not stressful. It's just stretching, even though it may feel, what we have is a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Right. There's a lot of pressure and a lot, not stress, but pressure. And there's opportunities like crazy. And with opportunities come problems, because problems give you opportunities to have solutions. Yep. And we have to view those problems as blessings. That's why I'm saying thank God for the good stuff and the bad stuff. Yeah. Because that bad stuff that's coming your way are the opportunities that you need to solve problems and become pragmatic and really be like solution driven, right? So I love that. That's not stretching, right? Like, I'm stretching myself because this is the things that I need to go through to get to the person that I really want to be and the impact that I really want to get to. So that's super strong stuff, man.
Yeah. To that point, I know you talk about how your father was successful, made a lot of money, but he didn't plan right, all that stuff. So
yeah.
So knowing what you don't want, I think is pretty important in life. And I think that, is that something that you didn't, when you learned, like, I don't want to make money and not have anything show, that type of thing? Because was that a big thing for you? I think it's very,
100%. Yeah, 100%, Charlie. Like, with my dad, he was always a W-2 guy, and made really good money and made some really poor decisions, and he wasn't really around for me and my brother, so he didn't really give us a lot of direction on what we should be doing or how we should be men and stuff like that. So I knew that when I wanted to do something, that I wanted to do better than my parents, right? And I don't feel bad about saying that, because every parent wants their kids to do better than them, right? So I always wanted to do better than what they did. This is why I never was a W-2 guy, because my dad didn't actually start making really good money until he retired from being a W-2 and became a contractor. Because then he was, 1099 contractor making 10 times more money. Just, again, bad investment decisions. In his late 60s, decided to play the market and played the market in an aggressive fashion. And then in 2007 to 2008, he got wiped out, millions of dollars wiped out. And it was just heartbreaking for them. And it was heartbreaking for me, because I was like, well, I'm nowhere near my career to be able to take care of you guys. And this is tough. So I look at that and I use that as a motivation of being like, hey, I'm not going to put my money into the market that says, oh, you can make 30%, 40%. It's not enough. No. I'm going to invest it in myself, because I can get 1,000%. So I'm investing in myself. I invest, but I invest the majority of my time and money on essential things, which is me. So I can become a creator rather than having to put my money in the market and hope the market does well. I don't want to do that, right? Like, I have to live in a home. Therefore, I'm going to make a smart investment with the home that I live in, but I don't have to have shares in Apple. And I'm not hating on anybody that does have, investment prowess. I just don't have the prowess, right? So I have a financial planner, and she helps me with all the decisions that I need to make. And she understands that I'm in a particular area of my life right now where I'm dumping all my money back into my business, because that's where I see the largest growth pattern happening, because of where I'm at, my age, and the opportunities that are around me. That's really what I'm hammering. So like, my parents never did that. My parents were like, you get a good job with somebody, you have the security, you get a good salary. And I'm like, I don't want good, I want great. You know what I mean? And I want to be the creator of it too. So then I don't have to rely on somebody if I get fired or laid off or the market goes bad. Like, I don't want any of that to be an excuse. I don't want to be product of my environment. I want to create the environment and really thrive in it, right? Like, I don't need resources because I am a resource. I don't need tools because I am a tool, right? So it's like that kind of mindset all the time. is kind of how I approach things. And my parents were very much the opposite of that. So that's kind of where I was like, and I love my parents, I have a great relationship with my parents, but it was just kind of, I look at that and I said, I don't want that for me. Like, I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for me. And I just don't want that, man. I want to be in full control.
Yeah. You're definitely so. I think I just have some recording limit on here. You're definitely can record, right? So we can.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had a limit on my. But anyway, I came up with this thing. I agree the same way, because like right now I bought into this one stock and it was doing well, and I'm like, man, I wish I dumped it at some point, because I want to take that money and invest it back in me, which I call investment. You have investment in life, which is stock market, real estate, but investing is investing in yourself. You know, like. Yep. I find that so much more important and more powerful, because anytime I do it, I call it ROI, man, not ROI. Like, I see it, I know what I want, it's taking me to where I want to go, and it's going to allow me to live the life I want to, the way I want to, not just, it's not always about money. It's about how you live your life by your terms too. So when you make the right investments in yourself, I think you're going to get there a lot quicker than trying to find good investments around that. Again, 30% up, but 30% down, And
30% down means you need 40% up to break even again.
Exactly. And I tell you,
the law of large numbers, man.
The only break my father had it financially was when my father, my mother, I guess it's my grandmother, passed away. And I came in a little bit of money, $50,000, and they took it and put it in an investment, and it fucking went south, man. And to see that, to see your father at like, I don't know, 50 something lose 50 grand that back then was like probably 500 or
yeah.
Man, like I was like, I don't have the stomach for it. The same way I went to Atlantic City when I was 20 years old, and I blew 2 weeks of working at PetSmart salary in 20 minutes with my little roulette fucking strategy of doubling down. Guess what? Black doesn't have to come out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to.
Just be all red.
We're off the table, Charlie. So watching that, like, $600 that took me 2 weeks and 100 hours to make, watch go in like 20 minutes, was like, man, I don't have the stomach for this. Like, man. But I would take that $600 and take it now and go to a seminar, or $6,000 to go to a seminar, if I thought it was going to, get me to where I want to be,
I agree with you, Charlie. That's where the magic happens. And it's not so much just the information that you get. It's the realization that everybody else in this room with you also spent that much money to be there, and the networking and the friendships that you can make with people. You know nothing about investing. You shouldn't be investing, but maybe you meet somebody that is doing $4, $5, $6 million a year in investing, and you could say, "Hey, man, I'd love to network with you because I'm thinking about investing and I don't know anything about it." And and I'm that kind of person. Like, it sounds weird, but I like to be the dumbest guy in the room, right? Because then I learn everything, man. And I'm like a sponge, and I spend most of my time when I meet people talking about them. I'm like, what do you do? And how do you do it? And what's this and this and that? Like, I don't need to talk about me. Like, what I talk about is unsexy. Like, no one's excited to hear about health insurance and life insurance. It's like underneath a root canal. People would rather have a root canal than talk about, if I die, how am I going to take care of my family? Or if I end up in the hospital, how am I going to pay those bills? No one wants to think about those things because they're so painful. Death is the ultimate pain. And being sick and dying in a hospital, or falling off a ladder and shattering your hip, is pain. Nobody wants to think about that as that even being a possible potential thing to happen, even though it happens to millions and millions of Americans every single day. Heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, chronic diseases, accidents, falling off ladders, breaking bones, all these things happen to people. They don't want to think about it, right? So getting in a room where I can meet people, as you pay for those masterminds, you pay for those events and conferences, it's not just the information that you're receiving, it's the people that you meet. And then you can build relationships with people, and you serve them, and the gift is in the giving. So you give. And just naturally, they'll say, what do you do, man? And I'll tell them, they're like, wow, I actually need something like that. Where if it was the other way around and I just walked up to somebody and was like, hey, I'm Philippe, I do health insurance, and I can permanently solve all the confusion around life and health insurance. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm not confused about health insurance. It sucks. It's a scam. Never get it. And I'm like, wow, you're definitely confused on it, right? So I think there's like those different approaches, and a lot of times that investment, right, where you're investing in yourself, is really the first thing that you should be doing. Like, people that have money and they're like, I think I'm gonna, put it in crypto. And I'm like, have you ever been to a motivational seminar before? No. John Maxwell? No. Tony Robbins? No. Russell Brunson? No. I said, you own a business? Yeah, I'm a business owner. I'm like, hey man, do not put that in crypto. Like, you need to go get an education, like a real education. Oh, I went to college. That's not an education. You need an education in your industry, an education in marketing, an education in publishing, an education in writing, an education in sales, an education in spirituality. Like, you need to make you a better person so that when you do make the money, you're magnifying a better version of yourself, because money is a magnifier. Yeah. Right. And everybody who wants money and they want it fast and they want it quick, and they look at someone else that's super successful and say, well, I'll model what he's doing, but not model the person. I'll model the activity, but not the person. So you'll model this guy that invests in crypto because he made $10 million in crypto. You're like, well, I'm going to get into crypto. Yeah. But are you modeling everything else he's doing? How many hours does he spend studying in masterminds, networking, talking with other people, weighing out the options, working out, going to church, praying, meditating, eating the right foods, challenging himself? You don't see all those things. What you see is the result, and that's what you want. And then we all want the shortcuts, right? Yeah. 7% is not sexy. When someone says, hey man, you can make 7% on your money, it's not sexy. But once you find out, like, hey, you can make 7% of your money tax-free, and the interest will compound for the next 20 years. And someone might say, I don't even know what that means, dude. And you're like, well, okay, then you need to get an education. You need to learn from other people what I'm talking about, because it's the eighth wonder of the world by Einstein is compounding interest.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And most people don't understand that, right? They're looking for 30, 40%, which is, Warren Buffett doesn't even get that.
Right.
He's averaging 27%. And this guy's the best in the world. The best. It's the Michael Jordan of investing is Warren Buffett. He's getting 27%.
He has standards he sticks to, and he doesn't deviate, right?
Doesn't deviate.
He buys when there's blood in the street, and he sells where, whatever. I forget it's
yep.
Yeah, he buys.
And he's shrewd, right? Like, he's super shrewd. But if you look at Warren Buffett and you're like, well, what's the quality of his life? And I'm not hating on Warren Buffett, but you look at the quality of his life. I've read stories about him being extremely stingy and not leaving tips, and a very shrewd person, and not really helping out community in the world and things like that. And I'm like, to me, he's not a successful person. He's rich, but I don't think he's successful, right? And there's a lot of people out there like that.
I say it all the time, success without significance is just success. It sucks that you're successful, because you're going to feel like you suck too. You're just successful. I want to be successful. I want to give back. I want to do amazing things. I want to take I want to take what I create and pass it along, and help.
Exactly.
I mean, how much do you need, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm a capitalist, but like in some respects, it's like, dude, I don't know. I'd rather be happy, and I see somebody spend $50,000 on a watch or something. I'd rather would have gave that to the girl at the bar I know who has a horrible life, and I could buy her a tiny house in Pennsylvania and make her life different, completely different, But
no, I totally understand it, man. And that's why investing in yourself is important, because you find out your mission, you find out your impact, because it's not about like, I got asked that question, how much money is enough? And I'm like, well, it's never really enough, because what it is I want my time to be more and more valuable, which means that I'm making a higher income, right? Like, I want to make $50,000 an hour. Like, that's what I want my time to be worth. Where someone's like, what are you worth every hour of the day? $50K. Yep. Like, that's what I want. It has nothing to do with the money. It has to do with the quality of work that I'm putting out, and the mission and impact that I'm leading is so valuable that people are willing to pay that much money, because the money is really, it lets you know how valuable your time is. In my mind, how valuable my time is how much money I'm making, whether I'm working or I'm not working. Because I happen to be lucky in the industry that I'm in, that we get renewals and residuals, right? So I get renewals and residuals every single month, right? You sell a house, you get one-time commission. But can you imagine if you had the option?
You say you're not in a sexy business, but that's sexy. Renewals is sexy.
The commission part is sexy for people that want to get in the business. But can you imagine selling a home, and then you get rather than getting 10 grand, you get $1,000 a year every single year for the next 10 years, instead of just the upfront 10 grand? You'd be like, all I got to do is sell 10 houses at 10 grand, and I'm making 10 grand a year, or whatever, right? Or a month, right? And it's just like that right there is what I go after. And I just build up the renewal and build it up and build it up. So I make money in my sleep. I take a vacation, and I'm not like, I mean, a little bit, because I own a business, but if I were to, if all was to go to hell, and I was like, I'm shutting down the agency and I'm just going to be an independent, I still have all that in my book, which means I could just stay at home. I could take 6 months off. I could do whatever I want, knowing that I have that option drives me even harder though. It drives me like crazy because I'm like, wow, what a brilliant industry I'm in, and how much do I love my job that I don't have to work anymore, but I choose to work 10, 12 hours a day, every single day, 5 days a week. I do a half day on Saturday and I take all Sunday off. And dude, it's amazing. I have breakfast with my daughter every single day. I have dinner with my family, 4 to 5 nights out of the week. There's only 2 nights out of the week really that I don't have dinner with my family, and 3 nights a week because I do church group one night and then I do late night seminars, resource like kind of like workshops for seniors that are turning 65 2 nights a week. But outside of that, man, it's all about my family. We go on great trips. We have great experiences. Like, I'm not going to be like my dad where I'm traveling for 2-3 weeks and not coming home, or 3-4 months and not coming home, or even a year and not coming home. Like, that'll never be me. Like, I would rather just quit and have less, have less than that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way I come from. And I hear you on like the watches, and I'm a watch collector. So I do.
I think I remember you that, but I wasn't saying that to you. So
I know.
Whatever, I know. But the point, everyone has their thing. I like Nike, I like Air Max, whatever, But and I like cars. I spend my money on cars. And
there you go. There you go. Yeah, see, not me.
But no, I get it. I get the watch thing. I think they're amazing, and there's nothing more complicated than a watch. And if you know what goes into a watch, you should have appreciation. Yeah. How many pieces and all the parts and the time it makes to make a watch is pretty impressive.
Exactly, and that's like the goal that I set is like, hey, this year I want to buy this watch. So what do I have to make in order to make that work and fit, right? And then when I get it, it's a reminder. It's a reminder of the hard work. It's the reminder of the success. It's the reminder of what I put in to get to that point. And the time, it's not for me. The watch is to let other people know what time it is, right? So they're like, oh, that's why I wear it. I'm like, well, you know what time it is because you see the watch, Rolex, gold Rolex, whatever. And it's like, well, you know that's from hard work. It just didn't come from anywhere. So like in my industry, I'm really big on that. I'm really on like, you gotta stretch your goals, man. You got to stretch what you're trying to do and get around the people that are doing it. And you do that by a lot of times investments in yourself.
Yeah.
Well, getting in the rooms where all these other guys are.
So. I call it time machine, man. But I heard something the other day. People who pay attention. You know what I mean? So you're going to have people like, I have a real problem with like, how do I price my system? Because you want to make it inclusive for people, but then it's like, wait a minute, it's exclusive territory. So if someone's not going to invest the time and invest the money, and then they're not going to stick with it. And then here I wasted a territory that someone might not want now because it's been branded to somebody. So I found that really hard. And that was a great saying I heard the other day. I was like, shit, that's good, man. People who pay attention.
I like that. And you got to pay to play. Well, you want to play in the bigger game, you got to pay some money. Like people want everything. And in my business, it's very much like that, and I'm sure it is in your business too. You own a brokerage and you've got new realtors coming in that are like, hey, I need leads. And you're like, okay, we'll go get them. And they're like, oh, they're just thinking they're free. And I'm like, no, you got to pay marketing and advertising. You got to put in time. And if you don't have money, you got to put in time. And time is way worse to spend than money. People say, oh, I would never spend that much money in marketing. I'm like, well, then you'll never be successful.
Exactly.
Never. I put in tons into marketing because I pay to play. Right. I'm never in a situation where I'm like, hey, give me all this for free and I've got no skin in the game. Because when that happens, you don't, like you say, you don't pay attention. You're not as focused because you have nothing on the line. So I'll get brokers that'll come over and they'll be like, yeah, I need leads. I need this. I need that. And I'll be like, great. I'll pay for the ad management. You just got to pay for the ad spend. Yep. And they're like flabbergasted. Yep. They're like, well, how much is ad spend? And I'm like, minimum $30 a day, minimum. So that's $900 a month. But what I'll do is I'll co-op. I'll give you like $300 every month as long as you put in the other $6.
Yeah.
And they'll look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, okay, well then I could give you nothing and you could do nothing and you could earn nothing. And then you'll be able to save $600 a month, but make nothing. So where's the equation here that's tough to figure out is basic math. You must invest in yourself if you want to make money.
Yeah, that's why I think there's such a difference between everyone, just because you're a business owner or a realtor or whatever, doesn't make an entrepreneur, and I'm so sick of the word entrepreneur. I think, thanks to Shark Tank for everything they've done. But again, if they have not overused the word entrepreneur and made other people I used to know people that had three businesses. That doesn't mean they're an entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Because, they just knew that business and they did this and did that, but that doesn't mean I always say, if you haven't lost like 30 to 40 grand on a bad idea, then you're not an entrepreneur, you know, because I've done that a few times over, maybe more than I might be rounding down. And, you know, because I believed in it so much, I thought it was a great idea, you know, and you know, and I just think it's overused. And I don't even know if I have the right to use that title yet, but I feel like I have maybe earned it now, but I still like reluctantly throw it out there because it's a word that's very important to me. And
it's like a word that we commonly use, but like I was saying earlier, you know, words have power rather than saying, oh, I'm so stressed out. You know, I like that. I'm stretched right now. I like that better. I've got a lot of pressure right now, but I'm not stressed because I have no fear in what I'm doing. I have no fear dropping $16K a month on marketing because I know that I'm going to break even or make the money. And in my business, and I learned this from a guy years ago who I thought was crazy. Earlier in my years, I knew this guy named Tim Binkley. We call him the Terminator, right? This guy is like locked in, unbelievable, has a huge book of business. And I said to him one day, I said, Tim, how in the world are you so successful, man? And he goes, well, Philippe, I don't ever stop. I do Turning 65 seminars every single month. I do member seminars every week. And that's what I do. And I'm like, well, who's paying for it? And he's like, nobody. I pay for it 100%. I said, geez, dude, how much do you spend in a month? He goes, 25 grand. I said, you spend $25,000 a month? And for me, I was like, you're crazy, dude. I could have a boat. I could have a Mercedes. I'm thinking of all the things that $25,000 buys, you know, but this guy's making probably like 160 a month, right? And renewals. Now he doesn't do anything but member seminars, and he's making $2 million a year, right? And I used to laugh at him because I'm like, you're crazy. And I remember he told me this and I never forgot it. And it really hits home now. He goes, yeah, most months I break even. And I'm like, you're spending 25 grand to break even? He goes, yeah, but Philippe, you don't understand. The lifetime value is huge because my clients stay with me for 15 years because I'm that good. And I show them that good because that's why I do all the member seminars. So I give them reminders of how good I am. And I'm thinking about it, and it just didn't dawn on me then. But then I was like, wow, this guy's doing 25 grand every month, break even. Well, that carries over to the next year where if he doesn't spend a dime, he's still making 25 grand a month. And I was like, okay, there's something going on here, right? Like, so then that's when I was like, okay, I don't care about breaking even. I don't always have to make a profit in my business, which alleviates a lot of that pressure, saying I have no fear. And even if I make less, if next year I don't spend that marketing dollars, if I make 5 grand and I spent 16, well, next year, that same month, I'm going to make $5,000. And I don't have to spend it next year, or I can pivot and get smart and say, well, that didn't work. Let me do this. Well, that didn't work. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me try again. 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 And people will say, well, that's crazy because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, well, that's the definition of an insanity. If you're an entrepreneur, you gotta be a little psycho.
Oh yeah.
You gotta be a little crazy because it's like lifting weights. Yeah. If you only lift weights once and you don't get ripped from it, do you just stop lifting weights and do something else? No, you keep doing it and you get crazy and you wake up when you don't want to and you go on days that you're sick and you sacrifice the food that you're eating and you just totally lock in, and eventually you get that. You get there no matter what. So there's no replacement for hard work except for working smart. But even guys that work smart, man, we gotta work hard. You know what I mean? We gotta work really hard. It's crazy.
Hard, man. So, I mean, obviously, I think you deal with like 96 different companies and 34 different states or something like that.
I'm in 24 different states, 96 different companies. I do a lot of different lines of business, like nationwide. Yep.
So, what's the biggest mistake you see business owners making when they're protecting their company? What's the one thing you're like, man, you got to do this because they're not doing it right?
I think spreading themselves too thin, right? Like feeling like you're missing out. So like FOMO is a big thing for a lot of business owners. We're like, well, I've got a buddy that sells X, Y, and Z, and he's doing a killing thing. So I'm going to do that as well. And I'm going to do this, and I'm also going to do this. And then I'm also going to do this as well. But they don't partner. They just say, I'm going to do it because I know it. I know how to do it, and I'm going to do it. You cannot do everything at 100% capacity. You can only do the one thing at 100% capacity. So for a lot of businesses, I say, don't be so greedy.
No.
Find a partner that you can give the referral to, split the commission, and have them do all the work. And that becomes a win-win situation. Find a partner that you can work with and give away some of the money. Make less money, Maybe even give him 60%, you only get 40%. But what you're doing is you're taking the business opportunity that you have, staying focused on what your business is, and you're passing that off to someone else, and you're building a strategic partnership. And you can build a complete separate leg of business that way.
I call it complete, not compete, man. Find the right people to complete with, not compete with. Because, like I said, you take, they say one distraction, whether it's the dog scratching at the door like mine is right now, and I'm looking over there every couple seconds because he's pissing me off and somebody was supposed to put him out. But like one distraction costs you 15 to 18 minutes.
Yep.
Imagine that if it's a one distraction in your business, it's costing you $15,000 to $18,000 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like try to equate the same math. Like it's nuts. And that's why I say, compete, don't complete, complete, don't compete. I mean, that's why I literally want to take a pledge, like hopefully by next year that I will not sell or list a house in Middletown, other than Middletown, New Jersey township, like ever again, because I know the value of completing with other people and handing that referral down to, somebody in Brick rather than running down there and trying to deal with that, because it takes away from what I'm great at. And that's a loss for everybody involved, me and everybody I'm not serving up here, so.
I couldn't agree with you more. That focus, that hyper focus on what it is that brings in the money. And it's easy to find out. Just do an energy audit, right? Like, where am I putting my energy and where am I making the most money? Whatever the least amount of energy and the most amount of money that you're making, that's probably the thing that you're meant to do, right? That's probably the thing that you're like, it doesn't take much effort for me to do this because it comes naturally to me. And I have a lot of clients here and I make a lot of money doing this. That should be your focus, because if you're not putting a lot of energy in there and you're making all the money, imagine if you focused your energy into that, like how much more you would make and how much more you could widespread, and that's like my thing is, God loves when we're busy. God loves when we're making progression and have momentum, because then he blesses us with other opportunities. But the thing is, we're stewards. We're stewards of blessings, which means when they come to us, we should be sharing them with other people. And when you do work on yourself, you meet other people. And when you meet those other people, you can then strategize on how you can partner with other people. And that's a big difference between, like you were saying, people that are entrepreneurs and people that have an LLC and have a tax code. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're looking for ways to expand yourself, but by not physically putting yourself in the situation so you can focus on what it is that makes you money. And that's a huge part. That's strategy, right? And I didn't learn that for a while. And I've got a guy that I work great with. I do a lot of stuff with SBA banks. So you get an SBA loan, you must have life insurance with a collateral assignment to the bank if you get an SBA loan. Most banks are doing this. So what I do is I network, I somehow got hooked up with a banker. And it's not somehow, it was in a BNI group, and he owns a health and wellness company, and I really befriended him. I sent him a bunch of clients. I'm a client of his, and he did some great stuff for my wife. And he said, I also run a SBA division. I said, I had no idea. What is an SBA? I didn't even know what it was. And he told me, it's small bank loans, this and this and that. And he goes, I know you do life insurance. I want to start sending some stuff your way because I need collateral assignment. I said, great, no problem. So he sent it to me, and then I went to a buddy of mine named David, and I was like, David, all you do all day long is life insurance. Are you aware of these SBA collateral assignments? He goes, yeah, it's Keyman Insurance. It's term for a certain amount of years, and we make the bank collateral assignment. I said, great. How fast can you turn these around? He was like, within 24 hours if it's under 2 million. I said, wow, that's really fast. It's faster than anybody else is doing. He's like, yeah, and it's easy for me to do, man. Just send it over to me and I'll get it done, and I'll put you on half the paperwork. And I said, okay. So what I started doing is I started taking the SBA loan collaterals and then sending them over to David. David, close them. I'll make half the commission. All I got to do is a 20-minute intro. That's it. Because I edify David. Right. I meet the client. I say, great. I have and this is the craziest thing. Listen to this, Charlie. I do small group benefits, and anybody getting an SBA is what? A small business owner. So I go in the small business owner, I say, what are you using you got to get the life insurance from me, but I just want to know a little bit about you. What kind of business are you in? How many employees do you have? Do you have employee benefits right now? What do you plan on doing with the money? Are you expanding, buying new trucks, hiring more people? What are you going to do with the money? Wow, that's amazing, man. These are some really, really significant goals. Listen, I'm going to be able to help you get this SBA quickly and as soon as possible, because we're going to assign the life insurance to the bank and make it a smooth process. And we're going to be there with the whole way with you. We're going to be with you. We're going to be able to help you with everything that you need. Not only that, remind me to make sure that I do a free audit for you on your employer benefits, because we can look at that later on down the line after you're funded. So then I send them over to David. I say, you're going to talk to this guy, David. He's the best in the world. He's absolutely amazing. He's so great. He's got all these awards. He's been doing it for 17 years. He came from a financial background. This is all he does all day long. You're going to have direct contact with him. You're going to be able to call his cell phone, his email, everything. And he's going to get it turned around in 24 hours. You don't have to deal with any 1-800 numbers. He's going to do everything, including the underwriting. And these guys are like, oh my God. And I'm like, yep, David, here you go. So the David doesn't have to tell him anything. David does just say, what's your name? What's your blah, 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 all that stuff. And then writes the plan. David doesn't have to do any work. I'm filling up his calendar and he's sending me money and he's making money and it doesn't have to pay for the lead. It's a free lead. And guess what? I don't have to pay for the lead because I'm getting it from an SBA director.
Win, 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 man. You know,
win, win, win. Stephen Covey, brother, like the best formula in the world to be successful is make other people win and then you will eventually win, right? So I was like, that's what I mean by partnership, is having that idea, because could I write the life insurance by myself? Yes, but it would take me 2 hours to do it because guess what? It's not my niche. Do I understand life insurance? Yes. Am I a master in the knowledge of the life insurance? Yes. Do I write life insurance every single day, 20 apps a day? No. So David, that does 20 apps a day, guess what? He knows all the companies, all the underwriters. He knows off the top of his head what plan's going to be the best. Foresters, Nationwide, Transamerica. He knows off the top of his head where I'd have to do the research. So his 20 minutes is my 2 hours. I'm buying back my time and I'm making the commission and I ain't got to do shit.
And Martell, baby. Yep.
That's it, right? And then I have a client, a potential client for small business that I don't have to pay for the lead. So my cost per acquisition is nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I went writing all the chapters. I literally took the end of the second book, and I was like, I think I could have called these two books "The Favor of Focus" and "The Power of Purpose," because when you have the favor of focus and the power of purpose, like it's just crazy how much it just multiplies and how much you just you just dial in because you're niche down. And you're dialed in, and you know what and you're moving at your own speed and what matters to you too, So it's like
exactly.
I just think if that was one of my favorite things, like sayings that came out of the two books. I was like, I think I could have called the book this because it wasn't about real estate. It could be just called "The Favor of Focus and the Power of Purpose" because that's every chapter kind of resonated around that.
Well, I might steal that from you. Write a book called that. I'll co-author a book with you. How about that?
See, we'll complete. And
I love it. Favor of focus. Power of
purpose. Yeah.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Power.
I literally created there's a thing right there. I'll show you. It's two Nike sneakers on the back of it, looking at the sunset. Speaking of what's the sun, right? And on the back of the shoe says focus, and the other one says power. A purpose.
I love purpose. No, I love it's so true, man. You got to get dialed in on what your purpose is and what your mission is, and you got to focus on what's going to get you there, right? And have massive action behind it. It's so true. And, everybody falls victim to it, especially entrepreneurs, because we are constantly surrounding ourselves with people that are doing great things. Yeah. And it's so tempting to be like, I could do that. I could do that. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh shit, now it's deviated me from originally what I'm supposed to do. People that don't pay for stuff, they're like, I would never pay for a videographer. I say, great. You can learn how to operate a camera and lighting and sound and do it all yourself and edit your own videos. Sounds great, man. Sounds like a freaking nightmare to me, but it sounds great for you. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pay someone else to do it so I don't have to do it. I don't clean my house. I pay someone to do that. I don't mow my lawn. I pay someone to do that. I don't wash my truck. I pay someone to do that. I don't do none of that stuff, man. None of it. I don't book appointments. I have someone else do that. I don't book calendar dates. I have someone else do that. I don't answer emails or text messages. I have someone else do that. Like, it's those things that I'm like, this isn't essential for me. Yeah. It's a non-essential. It's necessary to run my business, but it's not essential that I do it, right? So I can focus on what I need to focus on, right? Like my new goal is just to make enough money to get a house, like a house manager. Like I want one of these house managers that books all your travel, that picks up your kid from school, folds and puts away your laundry, makes all your meals, like organizes all that stuff. So you literally, all you have to do is work and have experiences with your family. Yeah. And they're about $100,000 a month. And then the excess staff, or $100,000 a year. And then the excess staff that you would need is probably like another 50 to 60. So for like $160,000 a year, I'll never have to grocery shop, fold laundry, put laundry away, clean anything ever again in my life. I want to pick my kid up from school, which I have breakfast with my daughter every day. It's drive her to school. That's a nightmare. It's a waste of time. 30, 40 minutes, man, sitting in a car line, and oh my gosh, and I can get nothing done. You know, it's like, no way. It's wild, man.
That downtime that really kills you. That's why it's like when I do anything out of the air as far as real estate goes, I'm in my car the whole time. I can't text. I can't email. I can't even. You really shouldn't even call. But you know. And then you get back to your home base, or you're like, man, I have all this to do that I was doing. You know, you didn't even realize you were doing it all day, but now I have to catch up on all this stuff. Not to mention what you missed. You know, those missed calls, those missed reply to emails, and you know, and that's money. That's money. You're missing opportunities. So, yeah, it's so important. And but I think a lot of that is, you know, people get stuck in their comfort zones, and I know you talked about it a little bit in your book. I call them comfort cages, but you know, because you know they're not even locked, but people stay in those cages much longer than they should, and you know, and they're a bad place to be. So, what you know, what kind of history do you have with trying to break out of your comfort cage and you know, and comfort zone, or you know, I mean, how do you? And at every level, there's another comfort cage. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're right here before you do the $160,000 a year for the house manager, and maybe like, well, I'm comfortable. I'll do the laundry. You know what I mean? Like, so it's tough to break that, unlock that cage.
You're right, man. And comfort is one of those things that has to do with your proximity, right? And I think proximity is power. I'm going to steal it from Tony Robbins. Proximity is power. So I surround myself with individuals. My friends are people that are more successful than me, that challenge my conventional way of thinking and remind me, hey, dude, there is no end to this. You should always want more. God has a plan for me that is bigger than I can even fathom. I don't even know what God's plan for me is yet until I get there. And I'll know when I get there. And I don't think I'm going to get there. Meaning, like, I don't think that I know what it is to get there. So I'm just going to keep working and doing everything I can to make myself better and better and better and better every day and everything that I do. So there is no comfort. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm comfortable in a point of uncertainty. I like the adventure of life. I don't want things to be certain. I don't want it to be like, hey, this can happen, that can happen. Like even with my renewals, they could go away or they could increase, or they could stay the same. For me, it doesn't matter. I'm a true believer that they'll never decrease and they're never going to stay the same because I'm always going to be pushing the envelope, doing more and more and more. So I think when people get comfortable, it's fear. They're afraid of losing what they have. Yes. So they don't go out to get more because they think, you know, I've got to watch this because if I don't watch this, someone's going to come and take it from me, or it's just going to magically disappear. And I'm like, it actually happens when you're watching it. If you just sit and watch what you have and you don't work on gathering more, it will eventually erode, right? Like if you bought 4 loaves of bread and you're like, well, I'm not going to go buy any more bread. I'm just going to hold on to this bread. 2 things are going to happen. You're going to run out of bread or you're going to starve because you didn't eat the bread.
If you're not expanding,
2 things.
You're not expanding, you're contracting, right? If you're not
If you're not progressing, you're dead. You're dying, you're dead, you're done, especially in business. If your idea isn't like, hey, I need more clients. No, we're at capacity. At capacity, you better hire a manager and get back to it. You better hire some salespeople and open up the capacity. You better figure it out because you should never be at capacity.
Raise your prices to open up capacity.
That's it. That's it. Or raise your prices, exactly, and open up the capacity. Yeah. So it's like all these things that a lot of people are just like, if I could just, and I remember I was the person that was like, if I could just make $100,000 a year, I'll be set, right? And then it was like, if I can just make $250,000 a year, I'll be set. And then it's like, oh, if I just make $500,000 a year, I'll be set. And now I know, no way. Because every time I hit that other peak, I'm like, it's not enough. It's not enough because my eyes are open more. I've seen more opportunity. I've met more influential people and I see what is possible. And because it's possible, I want it. I want it. I want to get there, and not for the money aspect, the impact aspect, right? Like I tithe to the church. I would love to be tithing $100,000, $200,000 a month to my church. For me, that would be ultimate power, where I can raise more awareness for men's group and help troubled teens and help people that were me when I was younger that had no focus and had no purpose. So they could grow focus on God and purpose on the mission of being a steward of good faith.
Yeah.
And there's not enough of that in the world. And that's why we have a lot of these problems today. So that's like a huge thing for me, impact and mission. And the reason I have to sell policies and make sales is because that money is then used for something else. It's used for the power of my passions and my missions, my personal ones, right? So it's kind of all ties in together. No comfort zones for me, man.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, you see that behind me, the welcome home sign. I actually partnered with Tunnel to Towers. They're
awesome.
So every time I sell a house, I donate either in the seller's name or the buyer's name a year's worth of membership fees, in the hopes that they'll keep donating, as they grow. And then as each time we grow a member, I've now made it available to every member to be able to do the same thing, use that sign and donate through my. But like, I used to be like so excited for a closing because I'm like, I got paid or whatever. Now I like it because I know I'm going to write them a check. Isn't that weird? Like, it's only,
but that's perfect. That's so the way it should be.
It's like not a lot of money. I mean, it helps and it helps their cause a bit. But like, I love saying we just closed now because it means I'm coming home to cut them a check or send a Venmo in or whatever. And it's weird, but it's like you would think like I'd be more happy about the 20K or whatever it is, but I'm more excited about sending them and to help them.
Yeah.
And hopefully grow every time we get a new member, they do it. And then just the multiplication of, now we have, thousands of $132 a month going in to help, end veteran homeless and all this.
For sure. No, I love that. Man. And I do also do stuff with Tunnel for Towers. There's an event that they do over here at a community near me, and I'm one of the main sponsors for it for every year. So yeah, Tunnel Towers is great, dude.
I literally just I created the Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Heavyweight Patriot of the Year award, and I literally just gave it. I have the picture over here of Frank Siller holding the belt.
I love it, man. That's great stuff, brother.
I didn't meet him, but I was able to get it to him, and I got the great picture of him holding it up.
That's great.
So it's like, that's awesome, man. But so it's wild. But so you did mention a little bit about being like a people pleaser. You know what I mean? So chapter, and I wrote a chapter called Chameleons versus Crocodiles versus Chameleons. And there's a lot of it about that where people just being chameleons and stuff. And I've always been a bit of a crocodile. I never really, kind of gave a shit what people said because I was a little fat kid. So I had to learn early that like, fuck them. I don't care. Fuck you. I don't care. I don't care. Like, and you could see early on when people would pick on you, you'd be like, wow, they're picking on you either to like separate themselves out or just on insecurities they had. So I was able to kind of figure out that earlier, and it kind of gave me like the mindset, like, I don't care, bro. I'm me regardless of whatever. But I get the chameleon thing. And so, but how, like, I mean, when were you like, I know you said you took that and kind of switched it. So you went from being a people pleaser, but you used it into your business, which kind of, you became the crocodile there. Like you took your chameleon niche, and you made it like a strength, which I call like swagger capital, or capital, like, how did that transcend? Like, how did that happen? Like when you realized that?
It was when I met my wife. So like once I met my wife, I kind of realized that other people didn't matter. I knew from the moment that I met my wife that she was going to be my wife. And it was just like this moment of clarity that I was like, you know what, I need to work hard for me, and I need to figure out what it is that's important to me and important to this girl that I'm with now. And, my daughter and all this stuff, because I have an older daughter. And I was like, I really just got to hunker down and focus and kind of let go of friends and let go of some of these bad habits, because a lot of these bad habits and friendships were all based on, hey, I want to please these other people and I want to seem cool to other people, and I want people to be like, yeah, Philippe's a good time. Philippe's nice guy and fun time, and you can always rely on Philippe if you want to have a good time. And I was like, nah, man, I just don't want to be that person anymore, because that was causing me so much suffering in my life that I was like, well, what's the point of pleasing these people if these people are not pleasing me back, or they're not, really contributing to my success? They're really just holding me back. And the moment I noticed that is because I was with my wife, and she's just really emotionally intelligent, really has some good EQ. And she was really able to see that and kind of let me know. And then I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. And that's where it happened, man. And it just like, I got super focused on what was really essential and what was most important. And I got to work. Is what it was.
It is funny. And now you're saying, I guess you don't think you're a people pleaser, but sometimes when you're older friends that you're trying to hang on to, you really do become a people pleaser. So I'm glad you said that, because I have one buddy who I love, but we just kind of grew apart, and I would do things I didn't like. Oh yeah, let's go to the mall, or like, dude, I wear 3X. I can't buy nothing at the mall. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Why are we going to the mall? But I'm going because that's where he wants to go. And hey, it keeps us, it prolongs our friendship that is really now surface level. But yeah, that was a people pleaser moment for me. So I guess I take it back. I guess we all do have that, that
100%.
Depending on the relationships and the dynamic. So yeah, so that's true. That's great. It is cool when you flip it though, man. Once you say no, man, no is the most powerful word.
So powerful.
I mean, I think it means the same thing like 38 or 48 languages, and it's so short, but it's so powerful. Once you just start saying
simple.
No, the power of no, man. I say give nope a chance. Like, fucking give nope a chance, man. Start saying no to shit more often, and you will be happier.
Exactly.
You'll be able to buy back your time. You'll be able to, be more focused and more purposeful. And
exactly.
It's really so powerful. But I want to touch on, like, every one of my chapters ends with a capital. So one of the ones I'm working on is celebrity capital, because I believe we get, the whole goal is we start out with our little network, no matter whatever business in, and then the goal is to take that network and turn it into the known work, where people know who we are and what we're about without even really knowing us. I mean, that's the goal, right? You get your big enough where your business big enough where they're like, oh shit, I know that guy because of X. Oh, he does that, and I know that. Like the insurance guru for you, and the suits. I mean, I remember walking in the room that day the first time. When I mentioned, I was like, dang, like, a good suit, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of shit. Like, I mean, color capital and the celebrity capital, where you stand out. You're known for X, and in this case, you're known for the suits and the watches and all that stuff. So obviously you get celebrity capital, and I love that, because not everybody does. Yep. And that's about growing your brand and attaching your intellectual property capital to that, because nobody else, if somebody starts doing that, you're like, that's my shit, man. You know what I mean? You might can't send a cease and desist letter, but you're like, that's my shit.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So when did you start? Like, how did the suit? I think we talked a little bit about, but like, how did the suit thing start, and how were you like, this is where I'm going to grow my brand like this? And
yeah, so I've always dressed pretty decent. I really love wearing polos. Like, if I'm not wearing a suit, I'm wearing a polo, and I love dress trousers, right? Like not chinos or slacks. I like dress pants or suit pants, but I'll wear like a polo on top, depending on what I'm doing for the day. And I was at a Grant Cardone event, and I have this friend of mine, Jacob, who I saw and I hadn't seen in a few months, and I saw him, and he was dressed nice, man. And I was like, wow, brother, you look great, man. You lose weight or something? He's like, no, I got a personal stylist. And I was like, oh, what? And he was like, a personal stylist, and she's dressing me now, and it's amazing, brother. Like, I don't spend any time shopping. Like, and she picks all these outfits that look like this. And I said, well, you look great, man. And he's like, it's expensive, but I'm making more money. And I was like, from what? He goes, from the stylist. And I said, well, she's referring you business? And he was like, no, dude, like, I'm making more money because the way I'm dressed, people are stopping me and having conversations with me, and now giving me the opportunity where I can tell them what I do because people are so interested. I said, no way, man. He goes, listen, she's here right now. You want to meet her? And I was like, introduce her to me. Her name was Phyllis Mendez. And I met Phyllis, and the first thing she said to me was, why are you wearing brown shoes? And I was like, what? And they were Ferragamo's, dude, real nice shoes, man. She was like, why are you wearing brown shoes? I said, what do you mean? She goes, how old are you? And at that time I was 43. And I was like, I'm 43. And she goes, yeah, you shouldn't wear brown shoes till you're 50. And I was like, oh, okay. Kind of disrespectful. And she goes, are you wearing a belt? And I said, yeah, I'm wearing a belt. She goes, how tall are you? I said, like 5'8". She goes, you shouldn't be wearing a belt. It makes you look short. Wow. It's like, holy shit. Who is this woman?
A belt divides you in half, though. Like,
it divides you in half. And then she started to explain to me why. She started going into detail why, and what people think, and how that looks from far away without even knowing me, and this and this and that. And my clothes should match my energy. And she was like, what's your favorite colors, this and that. And she just ripped me. And I was like, you really know your stuff here. I was like, let's have a one-to-one. Let's have an appointment. I want to meet with you. So she met with me, and she asked me like when I was born, what my business was, what I'm trying to do, who I meet with, blah, 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 blah. And then I signed up for a program, man. And she gave me 60 outfits, and it was a lot of these different kinds of suits, and, with gold buttons and light pink and purples and sages and all these different things. And she's like, you're going to want to stand out when you walk into a room. Like, the moment you walk in, you want people to be like, who is that guy? And what does he do? Right? Rather than me being like, because insurance isn't sexy. So I got to be sexy. Right? So I have to dress the part and look the part. So when people see me, they're like, well, that's the guy that always wears suits. That's Philippe. Philippe always dresses like that. He just looks like that, right? Like today I'm wearing the polo because I had a BNI this morning and I got a lunch that I got to run to in South Tampa, and it's at a Russian restaurant and I got to be in and out of the truck a lot. And I was like, I'm just going to wear something comfortable. I'm about to slam a ton of food with a doctor partner, and I've never eaten Russian food before, so I don't know what I'm coming into. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, this will be interesting. So I wore polo and, you know, my nice dress pants and some loafers, right? But otherwise, I'm usually wearing the suit, man. And that really came from Phyllis Mendez. She has an amazing program that she does, and she's brilliant. And like, dude, literally, she flies in from Miami to my house to organize my closet. She is literally like, hey, I just saw this article. This is what you should be dressing like if you want to be more casual. And she'll send me all these things and be like, what do you like? Tell me the colors, and I'll tell her. And then she'll send me like 40 links for me to buy clothes. And then I just buy the clothes on the links. And then whatever doesn't fit, I just return. And if it fits, it fits. And I let her know. And she's like, great. Now I'm going to come up and take pictures of you. And then she puts it like in a binder so I can open up the book and be like, outfit 1, outfit 2, outfit 3, outfit 4, blah, 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 blah. It's wild.
There's not a belt in one of those fucking links.
Not a belt. I don't wear belts at all anymore, man. She is like, the only time that you want to wear a belt if it's like a Gucci belt or a Louis Vuitton belt because you're trying to be flashy. And it should be a gold belt. And I was like, okay, well, I just won't wear belts because I'm not spending $600 on a belt. Like,
nah. That's it. So
maybe I should though, right? Like maybe I should.
Once you
I'm spending it on the watch. So.
Once you hire the house help, you know. So you hit
exactly
when you get those two levels. But yeah, exactly. I would say with a brand, man, the brand's so important that you can either you can either blend in or you can stand the fuck out, man. Like whatever you want to do, it's your call. But I mean, if you want to grow your brand and your presence, you gotta be willing to take bold moves, whether it's the name of the company, the suit, whatever it is. You know, my broker, when I was probably 2 years in the business, I was like, I really want to get a BMW, but I don't know. I don't want people to perceive. He goes, get one. You know, he was like, get one. Your business will increase. I'm like, why? He's like, because your business will increase. People will perceive you as successful, and they will gravitate towards you. You know, and it's so true. And you know, the people that are going to hate on you, that's fine. I have a test for that too. It's called the Lambo at the light, or the Bentley at the bank. No one, you know, real quick, whether you're by yourself or if you're with somebody, who they are. If you pull up next to a Lamborghini at a light or a Bentley at a bank, there are only going to be two options. The person's going to go, look at this scumbag. Why are they flaunting their wealth? They probably stole this. They're probably unethical. Yeah. Or they're going to go, wow, I wonder what they do.
I wonder what they do for a living.
I wonder what they do. You know what? I wonder if I say hi to him, nice car, maybe I'll be able to talk to him. Maybe I can find out how he did, how he got to where he is. Two different mindsets. That's it. There's no other option. Someone's going to be a hater. They're going to get furious, or they're going to be curious. And the curious person is always going to win because they're going to make that connection. They're going to say, hey, you know, they're going to run in each other at the Wawa and go, oh my God, hey, I saw your car, blah, blah. And, exactly. You know, just so curious how you got that beautiful vehicle. And, you know, it's going to, you know, it'll take you to the next level.
I love it, man.
Which is so important in life, man. So, which is actually the next thing I was going to talk about, Elevation Capital, you know, so like what's next for you? I know you said you want the house, you know, the house management, and now the $600 belt and maybe the $75,000 watch, but like,
right.
The elevation, like, you know, what, like, not just the stuff, like, where do you want to, you know, what's your next move? Like, what's your next big, like, you know, your next big step?
Yeah, so like really getting my webinar out to a lot more people. You know, I want to do at least 166 new clients per month on my own pen, and really working on the systems and able to do that. Building systems on the back end for insurance agencies and insurance brokers that I will eventually turn into a business on its own. But yeah, really just trying to hit those numbers. Like I'm trying to do about 1.2 this year in insurance, which I've never hit before. So that's really one of my goals, because that will get my wife to be able to retire from her current job so she can be a stay-at-home. So that's really what I want right now, man, is the stay-at-home and then the house manager, so my wife can live an unbelievably amazing life, because I'm already living an amazing life. Like I love what I do. I own my business. I love what I do. My wife doesn't own her business. Mm-hmm. She likes what she does. But if I was like, if you had all the money in the world, babe, would you work here? And she's like, no way. And I'm like, well, there you go. Then let me make all the money in the world so you don't have to work here and you can do what you're passionate about, do what you love, because you shouldn't wait till you're 50, 60 years old to do the things that you love when we can make it happen now. Yeah. And, you know, she would be a great addition to my business because she's in like quality assurance and quality control. So she's a director for that. So she's just really smart, has her shit together. But yeah, that's kind of like the next steps that I want to do. And I've got it niched down perfectly of exactly how many I need to sell every single month in order to get to that point. And it's right around 166 new clients every month to do that impact so I can surpass. That'll put me above 1.2. That put me about 1.8. So that's kind of my next goal for this year is where I want to get to.
So upgrading that one-to-many mindset and practice, right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Just making it better and better and better because I currently do it like in person. And, I'm only seeing 30, 40 people every seminar and I'm doing 2 a week. So I'm doing 60 to 80 people that I'm seeing, but I'm only closing, like 20, 30% of that because not everybody's qualified. Yeah. And I do that every single week. So I'm like, how can I exponentially change that number? And I've got a guy of mine, I literally paid him $1,600 to sit with him for 6 hours, just paid him the money. I'll sit with you 6 hours. And he's doing $1.8 million doing virtuals. And I was like, it's what I want to learn, right? I have a meeting with him tomorrow and I'm going to pitch him tomorrow and be like, hey, listen, I want to spend a week with you. I'll fly out to Colorado. I'll give you $5,000 and I just want to spend a week with you and see exactly what it is that you're doing. I want to see how you bake the cake. I want to see the ingredients. I want to see the measurement. I want to see the quality. I want to see everything from A to Z and I'll pay you money to do it. So I'm going to pitch him that tomorrow and see if he says, okay. So
awesome, man. That's
it, man. That's how you get the results.
That's a great time machine to get around right there, man.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
So then the last little section out there, it's like called the zip zone, man. It's like just want to hit you with some quick questions and see what your responses to, and kind of just like fun shit. You know what I mean? Where I actually get to learn a little bit more about you. So I always say everyone knows there's Mount Rushmore, but I always think about Mount Crushmore. Like in my mindset, like who are the 4 people that you think would be on your Mount Crushmore, like that you just look up to that have obviously passed away or in history that you actually just think those would be on your Mount Crushmore,
that are dead.
Yeah. I mean, dead or alive, it's fine. Just the people that you see as like obviously Tony Robbins would probably be
Tony Robbins, yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Tony Robbins, Dale Carnegie, John Maxwell, and Jesus.
There you go. Man, he takes the biggest lead right there.
Absolutely, dude. Front and center. I
tell you what, man.
The biggest influences in my life are those guys right there.
I was brought up Catholic, and you just drift away, you get busy, and but coming back to having a relationship with God is the best thing I've ever done, man. It's
absolutely
saved your life, can save your life, literally. So
100%.
So important. And I always say I used to think I was a solo entrepreneur or solopreneur, whatever they call it, but no, I've had a silent partner the whole time. I just didn't realize
That's it, man.
So insurance in one sentence, if you could describe business insurance in one unexpected sentence, what would it be?
It's a tool and a resource for you to increase your business's profitability and take care of the people that work for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, it really is, especially when you get into like the wellness programs and all that stuff, right?
Exactly.
You're big on the wellness stuff. I got an affiliate thing for that. I'm like, it sounds awesome. I just, again, focus and purpose. That's not my focus, not my purpose. So I had to literally delete the affiliate account. I was like, it seems great and there's definitely money there, but if it's not one step away from what I'm doing, I can't do it anymore,
Exactly.
Then it is a great opportunity, but I think it's a bigger distraction. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Biggest risk that paid off. What's one risk you took in business that changed everything?
Well, I think the first time I got into Tony Robbins, right? Like, I had no money and I had to borrow money to fly out to San Jose. And it was like, 5 days of me not working and spending all this money. And I was newly married and my wife was like, well, okay, I trust you. And, I took all of our money that we had and I spent it on doing that. And it changed my life, changed the course of my life. That was 11 years ago. And it was one of the riskiest things I've ever done, and one of the best decisions I ever made because it made me a completely different man from doing that.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. It's usually the biggest risk have the biggest reward, So
yes, sir, it's true.
Okay, I call this your +5. So this would be living. Who would be the 5 people you would love to have dinner with and just share a meal and chat it up and have a good hour, 2 hours with them and pick their brain and time machines. Your +5 time machines. Who would you want to be, or personal too, whatever. But
yeah, I mean Tony Robbins, without a doubt. I would love to just have a meal with him and kind of learn more. Jesus, man, I would love to have a meal with Jesus, brother. Like, that's probably the number one person I would want to sit down and have a meal with and share time with. And Tony Robbins is the other one. I would say John Maxwell. He's just a really smart guy. Dan Martell would be another one. I think Dan Martell, like I've read his book a couple times, Buy Back Your Time. And it's just, for me, it's very profound. And it's just something that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like unbelievable to me. This is like where it's at. Right. And then the fifth person, I would say, I'm going to search a little bit for that one. The fifth person. I don't know if this is, I mean, my wife, man. I just love my wife so much. Like, dude, you know what I mean? Like my wife.
There's nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, man. Definitely. I always look forward to the times that we and her just have dinner. We have the best time and we laugh and we love. And it's amazing, man. Nothing better.
I'm actually, I've read Buy Back Your Time. I'm actually in the middle of reading his Systems as a Software book right now. Okay. I was going to start my own SaaS company, through Mr. Zip Code, but now it's like, I'm going to create one, but after hearing what it takes to grow one of those companies, and actually,
yeah, dude,
like, it sounds cool, but I'll go white label, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. That's what I do with my system, is just white labeled. And then I'm just white labeling a CRM system that's built out funnels and stuff like that for insurance brokers, specifically in the Medicare version, because a good friend of mine is in the SaaS and he created his whole own system and he's going to white label it for me and we're going to split all the profits. So partners, man.
Go high level or?
Yeah, GHL. Well, you met him, Justin Day. You remember Justin? He was at the book thing with me as well.
That's awesome.
Guy's a genius, man. A genius.
What's the name of his company?
Swarm System.
That's it. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we had talked a little bit, but you guys were talking a lot more. I'd like to get to know him.
Yeah, we're really close friends, him and I. So, yep.
Cool. So,
we're business partners. So it works out.
That's awesome. Do you have any tattoos? If you had a tattoo with a mantra, what would it be? What would it say? So do you have any words? Okay.
I'm pretty full right here. And it's all about family and faith and keeping you grounded to Mother Nature and really paying attention to the things that are super important. I have an anchor on this hand right here that just like anchors me down, knowing that like, I'm steadfast and I know when to stop and I know when to go. Those are probably the most important tattoos I have. All the other ones are kind of, whatever.
Yeah, when I was younger and angry, like I didn't love the symbolism of it because I was like, I want to be a free soul or free bird, do what I want. But then you realize if you want to do big shit, you got to anchor that boat to something bigger, and stronger than, so yeah, 100%. Pretty powerful, man. So business superpower, if you could instantly master one business skill overnight, what would it be?
Marketing. I'm not the best marketer in the world. I'm good at it, but that's the one thing I would want to be an absolute master at.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, for sure. I think I'm good at it, but not at the level where I want to get to or need to get where I want to get. So that's great. Netflix show title for your life, what would it be?
I would say You Can't Worry During Worship, like something of that nature, dude. Just something to let people know, like if you have worship, if you have faith, there can be no fear. So something around the lines of that.
Two things cannot exist at one time.
Exactly.
Cool. One rule everyone should follow. If you could create a universal law for business and life, what would it be?
Don't go it alone.
God, yeah. I love that.
Don't go it alone.
You want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, bring people, right?
Yep, exactly. Don't go it alone. Ask for help. Drop the ego. Drop the preconceived ideas. Seek people that you can model and find mentors in life for everything that you do. You want to mow your lawn, you better find the best landscaper in the world and ask him, what should I buy? How should I do it? What should I do? Don't just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go to the store and ask the guy at Lowe's. Absolutely not. You're going to get a Lowe's answer. Don't do that.
I think people take mentor and they think like they have to meet this person, they have to pay for them, but you could just model them. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to model
read their books.
Plenty of people I watched in local real estate that I was like, oh man, I like how that guy does that, and I was like, I'll make
exactly.
But I think mentor people are like, oh, who am I going to meet? Right? Especially when you're on the lake, you're still on a little lower end of trying to get where you want to go. They get bogged down in that. I got to meet someone, or no? You just got to figure out who you like and what they're doing, and kind of like watch them, and so
100%.
Legacy or liquidity? If you had a choice between
Legacy.
Legacy. You don't have to think about it. I know. It's like
Legacy, man. Never mind being liquid. That don't matter. I like I said, I'm a resource. I am a tool. I don't need to be liquid. I can always make more and do more, but I want to be remembered for that gusto. I want to be remembered for that unrelentless certainty that I'm going to be great, right? And I don't want to be remembered for that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have kids yet, but it's like, honestly, completing these books was like, to me, like I have this breath and this like weight off me where I'm like, well, at least I'm leaving something with the world. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it.
Maybe you may not remember me, you may not know me. Somebody might stumble across the book in 30 years. I might be gone 10. Who knows? But it's definitely a legacy. That's really important to me too.
Perfect.
So, what's one time in life where shutting up and listening changed everything for you?
Yeah, when I went to Tony Robbins, right?
Seen a theme here.
Yeah, their big theme there, man. Do Tony. It was I've always been great at sales. I've always been great at talking, but until I went to a Tony Robbins event, I really didn't understand the power of active listening and really taking time and processing things and pausing and having patience and then processing and then reacting to those things, pragmatically coming up with solutions and not be problem driven. Right. So.
Yeah. I think it's funny when you're not around, you're not in better rooms or better Zooms, like you just assume all people that are above you or doing better than you are better than you, then you get in there, wait a minute, I'm fucking smarter than this guy. I got better ideas than this guy. They're just working hard. You know what I mean? And they're taking the time to invest in themselves, and which is powerful though, because if you're not in those rooms and you're like, you just think they're above you, you're like, no, they're just separated from you right now. They're not above you. Yep. You're just not in them. And if you can get in there, you realize pretty quick that, you're as good, if not better. And, so.
Exactly. I agree.
Advice to young entrepreneurs. If you had to give your 20-year-old self advice in 5 words or less, what would it be? Invest
in yourself immediately. Don't wait till you got more problems in the world. You learn the skills that you need today to avoid the problems by learning how to work through them constructively, and that you only get that through doing like self-motivation things, like not even self-motivation, just like I would have gone to Tony Robbins when I was 20, dude. Like seriously, like that's like for me, I just got done doing one of his events, and I've been to this same event at UPW as my 11th one. I've done other events of his as well, but it's just that powerful where every year you revisit, you get better and better and better and better and better. It's just like gets you locked in. And I would really do the self-development at a much earlier age.
Did you go in person or was this
virtual?
I've done it like 2-3 times too. It's
yeah.
I think it was at least
UPW. Yep.
Powerful shit though,
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable stuff. 52 hours in 4 days, dude. It's intense. It's great. It's worth it.
I literally sat here where I'm sitting right now around this time last year, and I was like, dude, I had to go get back treatment because I was like, dude, I got to get up and get it. Like I was just like, it's a long drive. Huge commitment.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, even if you get a little piece of it or just watch parts of it, it's just so powerful.
100%.
Craziest part was we went into a breakout room and it was like 3 a.m. here, and I'm on like a call with someone in Russia and this
or like Australia, Hong Kong. It's like intense.
My brain, like it was the first time I was like, whoa, what the? Like it was just really weird with people experiencing the same exact thing in UK, Russia, like all over the place.
Exactly.
And one guy in California, like, and that guy in Pennsylvania was like, wow, man, this is insane,
It's crazy how that works, right?
It's crazy. So the question you wish people asked more often of you,
Of me? Where do I sign up? No.
I like that.
I would love if people ask me more like, where's the source of my energy? Like, because people say, how, like, you're so energetic, what do you do? And this, that. I wish people would ask me, why are you so intense? Why are you so energetic? So I could tell them about the power of Jesus, right? Like, just so I could be a better disciple, so that would give me more of an opportunity. But I'm working on it, man. I say certain things, like when people ask me how I'm doing, I say I'm better than I deserve, so they can be like, wait, what does that mean? And I can tell them, right? Well, I'm blessed, man, because I woke up this morning. Do you know Jesus? Right? And it gives me that opportunity. And I'm not the evangelist that's going to knock on people's doors, but I want to knock on their hearts, right?
That's great, because I feel like I was able to do that with the books, where I'm not like that. I'm publicly or online too much, or I don't know why. I guess I don't like to push whatever I'm doing on anybody. But sure. I like that through the books I've been able to do that, and And hey, I think that's a big contribution. I hope people read it and they get something out of it if they want to talk.
Yeah, man.
Somebody else, but it massively affected my life on a lot of levels, and I hope, it's my contribution so far. Maybe I'll get more vocal about it as I go, but I think
you'll find that voice, man.
Yeah, I think I did a pretty good job getting that, out in the book. So, what's one thing listeners should take away, take action today based on this conversation? What do you think?
Don't wait, man. Just get after it. Whatever it is that you want, you got to get after it now. If there's a hole, you got to plug it. You can't wait till it gets worse, right? So it's like things like if you feel like you're not far enough along in the world or in your career, do self-development, right? If you're vulnerable in your finances, figure that out, man. Figure out your insurances, figure out your health insurance, your life insurance, figure out what you're investing in and what you shouldn't be investing in, figure out whether or not you're renting or buying or whatever you're doing and making sure that your timing is correct. But that all comes from self-development, so you have a better understanding of what the environment is. And you just got to do it now. Don't wait. Do it now.
Yeah. Act.
Yep. Act. Massive.
Activity solves everything, man,
Yep.
Ocean.
Amen.
All right, well, this has been awesome. We're going to put up here what's the best place to reach you though and follow you and all that stuff, so.
Well, Instagram is great. You can go to FT Lunds on Instagram, or you can just go on Facebook at Philippe Lundstedt, or you can go to my company website, which is procare.consulting. And I also have an Instagram and a Facebook for that as well, but that's the best place to find me.
Awesome.
And LinkedIn for any business owners that are on LinkedIn. That too, man. I'm all over the place. And it's all Philippe Lundstedt and ProCare, so it's easy to find me.
There's so many places to be, it is difficult to kind of
right.
the right way and keep it consistent so people can find you, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Well, this has been awesome, man. I really appreciate you doing it.
Awesome, brother.
It took a while to get it off the ground because I was trying to finish these damn books and everything else.
No worries, man. This has been great. We'll definitely have to follow up soon, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time.